What is up? It's your boy, the Canologist. We're back with another episode of Focus Study Sesh. So, we're at 960 videos right now. So, whoever's been here has been here, you know what I'm saying? Okay, we're on the last chapter of this Learn HTTPS Servers course, which is documentation. There's about 6 files here. So I'm just going to take my time and make notes for this whole thing. Waiting for freeform to load. It keeps crashing on me, but you know. So there's webhooks. Let me border that with my crayon. When you're designing the server-side API, no one is going to know how to interact with them unless you tell them. You're going to force the front-end developer's mobile backend to sift through your code, reverse engineer your API. Actually, in most cases, real talk, in most cases, you're actually going to be sifting through a bunch of bullshit to figure out how the API works. A lot of this stuff is not very well documented. It should be, but be prepared and be very, very comfortable managing and reading and pulling information from documentation. If that's something you could take away from this lesson, if you're like, oh, it's just text files. No, like, you're going to come across a very poorly documented API, and in most cases, you're going to have to figure it out because A, your company might need the product. It might be within your budget to use said product, so you're just going to end up running with it. So that's going to put the onus on you as the developer to figure out how to use it and how to use it properly. Anyways, back to this. No one's going to know. Of course not. You're a good person. You're going to write documentation. Yes, we are. Yeah, I love documentation. If you guys have not seen my notes right now, like, if you guys have not seen my fucking notes right now, let me show you guys. This is how much I love documentation. I literally noted every section of the course into chunks with visual representations. So that way, like, in the future, if I do decide to do a recap or something, I could always understand exactly my thought process. Up until this, lettered, numbered, underlined, color schemed, partitioned with a crayon. And now we're on the documentation section. So documentation is definitely important. I definitely personally use it a lot. First, be obvious, then document it. Anyway, you talk about like a REST API should follow as much convention as possible. Document endpoints. Which resources are available? What the path to the endpoints are. Which HTTP methods are supported? Shape of the data. Assignment. Okay, so let's see what's going on here. For the purposes of this, you could also just use ChatGPT for the most part. Request, way to grab query parameters from the URL. One type of endpoint that's nearly impossible to interact with without documentation is a plural get endpoint. That is an endpoint which returns a list of resources. They often have different sorting, filtering, paginations. Okay, update the API chirps. It should have an optional query parameter called author ID. Provided endpoint should return only the chirps. And this is the good part, like documentation and things like that have to do with text. This is actually where AI shines. Like here, let me show you guys my GitHub real quick. Basically, like things like Markdown and things like that, you can use AI to pretty much give you interactive documentation. So let's go to my GitHub. I'll show you guys what that looks like. See this? This is all done in Markdown, but because it was done in thing, you guys are like, why are there only 580? Like, I do work on private repos as well, but as you guys can see, tech stack, other skills, like all these little charts, right? All these little emojis, all these little partitions in here, all these little buttons. These are buttons that go straight to my LinkedIn. See that? Like that's an example of how you can use AI for documentation, because AI is good at manipulating text, understanding text. Text is AI's domain. It's a large language model. Text is literally its domain. So use AI to your advantage for documentation. Unless you're writing a blog post. If you're writing a blog post, then add your own personal charm, add your own snippets, add your own drawings. We could even go to a blog post of mine. I'll show you real quick. This is the difference between AI and then this is something that I wrote myself. So if we go to the Knologist blog, let's go to my most recent one from August. Here I add my own text, I add my own snippets. You see that? Move my face. I add code snippets, I add screenshots. And pretty much that is how you go about doing a blog. So there's different ways of documentation. So one way is you either do a text-based version of documentation where it's just straight text. That's where you can just use AI, plug it in and give it instructions. The other one is if you're actually making a blog, a content piece, which is like tying in different areas of media by putting like pictures, screenshots, blog posts, other links. You got emojis, you got code snippets. That is when you have to add your own personal touch to it. But either way, as long as things are clear for the reader, clear for the consumer of said blog post or documentation, then you're good. Let's go back to the course. And if you haven't already, check out my blog, because all these videos where people ask questions, like most of the time I cover it in the blog where I break down why I wrote each line of code, right? So go to my blog. I know I'm like self-plugging here, but you know. For example, this, continue created that. This is an endpoint that returns resources. They often have different sorting, filtering. I'm just going to close this and paste in the code block. Read the query param author ID. So go to the handler get all chirps, SQL queries. Adding a new query is cleaner. Okay, so get all chirps by user ID for the filtered case. Okay, so we'll do that. Chirps, let's go to queries, get all chirps, many. Get all chirps by user ID. So we got this. And then we can take the handler change and go. I'm just here for the notes at this point. Like, it's got to be worth my while if I'm going to put in a lot of work. Is there a get all chirps handler? Oh yeah, there is. Refactored. And then we run sqlc generate. Cool. Let's see if there's any modification. There should be. Yeah, get all chirps was modified. Get all chirps by user ID. This was created. It's perfect. Okay, let's run that. See if there's any errors. None. Okay. Then we go straight to this position here. Looks like it's working. Nice. Beautiful. Let's go to the next lesson. Documentation. But before that, let's This is technically a form of documentation too, adding proper comments to your commits so people know what the fuck you did. Okay, so documentation goes there, 2 main approaches: manually or use a tool to generate. See, that's what I told you with AI. First approach is easy to get going if you have small API, but as the system grows really hard. Incorrect documentation is worse than no documentation. And you will see this a lot. Incorrect documentation is worse than no documentation, which at the least, when there's no documentation, your clients will reach out and ask. When the documentation is incorrect, it can lead to waste time, frustration. Manually writing. See, look, markdown files. See what I told you? Markdown files, like, I don't do that manually. I just shove that into AI. Like a blog post is what I would do manually. Tools I've used: Swagger, GraphQL, Godoc. Okay. Postman. And LLMs. There are now trivial ways to use AI to generate simple markdown directly from your code, which I do not recommend. Writing markdown documentation for your projects in markdown files, storing them alongside the rest of your code in Git. Projects readme.md, which is .markdown. Great place. Docs folder. Easy to get started. Documentation moves alongside the code. You'll learn Markdown, which is a great skill to have. GitHub, GitLab will render your Markdown files for you. Simple Markdown, which is easier to keep up to date. Documentation that lives in the same repo as the code. Sorting chirps. You can just sort the chirps in memory using sort.slice. I don't know how that's documentation though. This is not really. We don't want to add additional endpoints for every possible sort order. So we'll use a primary query parameter instead. Okay, cool. Get trips by sort. Ascending, descending. Okay, let's go to get API chirps. Handler get all chirps. Okay, this is another get all chirps one. There's post for chirps, but this is the only get one. So all you have to do when you go by this is like get API chirps and then update this endpoint. So you go basically find the endpoint, then go to the function that it references. So you just go this, Control F. You're gonna do this a lot on the job too. This is another quick thing you will do on the job. So if it's like you're looking for endpoints, what you do is you go to your endpoint list, and then you find the function it references and then go look for it like this. Okay, what do we do here? I've never seen this before. Okay, so we go to instructions, get API chirps. Okay, so now we go get API chirps. Okay, cool, I'm here. It's referencing this function, so I just go Control F. Or I go Control P, and then I find it. Or I can go Command Shift F, and then I'll go handler get all chirps. Control Shift F. This will take you to the line, pretty much, of where it's listed, or you could do it the other way. Just close this. I'm just going to do it this way. Takes me directly to the function, and then you can shove it into AI, which is what I will do, because I don't want to like, we've hit the point now where I'm just like, we just got to get it done. Okay, WiseWork to pass this, read sort query dot sort, get sort, sketch, didn't go, sort order. Place this right after you load the chirps. Okay, cool. So then we go here, right after you load the chirps. So we go handle get all chirps, author ID str, next, get all chirps. Okay, so this is where we actually get the chirps by ID. There's get all chirps by user ID. Okay, so this loads all the chirps anyways, it looks like. Okay, so let's get rid of these two lines. This is responsible for loading the chirps, whether you use ID or get user ID. This will then sort whatever comes out of it. We'll paste it back in for good measure. Oh, it's 12:33. I want to get some lunch too. What time is it? What time is it? Okay, 23 minutes. Okay, cool, cool, cool. Cool, I like it. I like it. Looking sharp, young coder. 2 quick checks. Okay, let's make sure we got the sort import. Okay. Sort slice created by using desk. Map to 200, want me to review. We don't need this other stuff though. Worst case, we just run it, honestly. Okay. Looks like it's working. I'm just gonna run it. Boom, it worked. Perfect. Okay, let's commit this real quick. Add sorting functionality to the perfect. Adding a README. Okay, cool. Adding a README. Let's see, what does this say? Take a moment to think about how to cover. Your public GitHub profile. We have a more in-depth course that covers building a professional profile. For now, I want to cover some basics. So basically what I already showed you, like use Markdown. Do I have to put this, yes, you really should. Keep copies of all your code for future reference. When you start looking for jobs, you're going to want a couple of great projects on your GitHub. This is probably isn't one of those because you built this using a guide. Yeah, see? This is great to treat this project like one and get your feet wet presenting. How to present the project when someone navigates your project's link, the first thing they do. See the README file, which explains. Take a look at my portfolio. Yeah, this is really, really good. Fantastic work by Lane, by the way. Overall, it was like his whole platform and the way he's taught is awesome. Let's not be the best portfolio because it was built by a guide. What is the first thing a recruiter will see in your project? The top README file. And boom, we are complete. We have finished the course. Learn HTTP servers in Go. I've already finished this last year in June 16, 2024, but I just wanted to do a quick refresher on it because I just wanted to get more well versed with HTTP. I might do the Primogens course after this, but yeah, this is it. Let's go to the courses. I'll just show you guys. These are all the different ones that they have on here. And yeah, there's a bunch of good stuff. There's like RabbitMQ, there's Learn CI/CD, Learn Cryptography, Learn HTTP Protocol, which is probably what I'll do. Then I'll learn like file server CDNs and all that other stuff. But that I think that's in the more advanced topics. Like if I go to training, courses, backend learning path, I did the Golang path. So, oh shit, am I not logged in? Start the learning path. Yeah, if I go here, like as you can see, I pretty much finished all the core ones, and I did a little bit of the auxiliary ones. Like they added all these new things, like build a Python AI agent, static site generator. Like I skipped these because I built my own projects, but this is something I'll probably want to do. Learn file server CDNs and CloudFront. The other one I want to do is learn HTTP protocol. I might do the Git2 course. I might even do the Learn Cryptography. So like these are all on my radar for future learning. They're always updating this platform. There's a bunch of fantastic tools. Like if you've gotten this far and you've done at least half or more than half of the modules here, like you're in really, really good shape to land a back-end role, because like a lot of this stuff, if you put it in context, you do kind of use on the job. Like especially if you just did this with us, like for example, if you just followed along and you saw how this works. This is like a monolith, 500 lines, bunch of endpoints, bunch of handlers. This is pretty much what you would be doing if you're in backend dev, because you're going to be touching a lot of endpoints. You're going to be touching webhooks. You're going to be touching APIs. You're going to be either messing with functions, creating your own functionality, adding features to a function. So these are all really useful things that you would need to know on the job. So I recommend going through anything where there's client-server relationships. Look at content around that. No one gives a fuck really how well you can leak code. It's mainly there as a filtration process for developers to see like who's really committed to the bit, right? Because in order to be consistent at leak codes, like you really need to put in the time um, to know how to do them. And a lot of people cheat. I recommend also don't cheat on any of your um, interviews. People will sometimes overlook your skills because of the integrity you have. And step one, being likable, having integrity, showing up consistently, um, putting forth your best efforts. Like when people know you're trying your best, um, these are all way, way, way more important than just raw technical skill. Raw technical skill can be acquired. Like you're looking at a guy that couldn't do a for loop back in 2018. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I learned C++ was my first language. Um, so if I can get here, if I can get a role, if I can go through courses and do these things and also pass these leak code challenges and like there's literally hundreds of leak code videos I posted on here. You can too. It's just that how you get there is just important as getting there. You know what I'm saying? So try to do it in the most ethical fashion that you can. Don't cheat. Show up. And honestly, you'll be surprised at how many people will come to you because when I have a feeling, it's just a theory of mine. It's like when what you put in, you kind of get out. It's like when you show up with a willingness to do something correctly to the best of your ability, like the help kind of finds you. You don't need to find the help. It's kind of weird. So that's just my tidbit for today. We're done the course. Hope you guys enjoyed. Can all just out.